Hello everyone and welcome to this Q&A video. So over the last few weeks you guys have been sending in loads of your questions and I'm going to try my best to answer as many of them as I can in this video. Also in the background I'm going to be showing some footage of the stuff that I've been getting up to this week because this is going out instead of a devlog video, so you'll be able to see a few of the new models and textures that I've been adding this week, as well as the one new feature which is the option to show player and mob names. So I'll start off with the question that I get asked most frequently, which is how did I learn to program? And I started programming when I was 17. I think at school one day we had a visitor come in to talk to us about programming, and they mentioned that if we wanted to get started we could do something basic like HTML. So I went home that day and I looked up a load of HTML tutorials. I went through all of them, really enjoyed it. I started learning about JavaScript through these tutorials, which I enjoyed even more. And I just really got into it. And it was around this time that I had to decide what course I wanted to study at university. And because I was enjoying programming so much, I thought that I should choose a course that involved programming. So I ended up studying electronic engineering and computer science at Exeter University, which is in the southwest of England. And at university, the main language that we learnt was Java. And so that quickly became the language that I was most experienced with. And then after a couple of years of university, just one day I randomly had an idea for an MMO game and I just kept thinking about it, and the more I thought about it, the more I thought I wish that I could play that game. And then eventually I just thought maybe I should learn how to program games so that I can create this game. So I went onto YouTube, I found some tutorials about how to create a 3D game using the fixed function OpenGL pipeline, and I followed all of those tutorials. I created my basic 3D world, and I think at that time I started the devlogs, so you can see how I've progressed since then. But whenever I want to learn a new topic, I just Google it, I read through any tutorials that I can find, I look through any posts on game dev forums, I look up YouTube videos about it, read through the comments, anything that I can find, any information I can find about the topic, I'll read through it all, get as much information as I can about the topic, and then when I think I understand it well enough, I'll try and implement it myself. What's the target for the Kickstarter? It's in euros, it's about 50,000 euros, which is quite a lot, but actually a lot of that money goes straight away and I never get to see it because of tax and Kickstarter fees, and also paying for the rewards. So about 40% of that money I never see, and it goes straight away. So it's not as much as you might think. Next question. How confident am I about the Kickstarter? It varies from day to day. Some days I feel really confident and other days I feel like I don't have a chance. At the moment, everything is going to plan, everything seems to be going on schedule. So I'm fairly confident, I think about 65% confident that it will do well. I think if everything goes to plan in the next couple of weeks, and if the video turns out how I imagine it to be in my head, then I think it's got a good chance of being successful. But it's definitely not going to be easy. I'm not expecting it to get funded in a few days. I think it's going to take a while and it's going to be tough. But I think with the help of all of you guys, I'm sure we can make it. The next question is, what will I do if the Kickstarter fails? So this isn't something that I've thought too much about, and it's obviously not something that I want to happen. So I'm kind of thinking that I'll just cross that bridge when I get to it. I won't be able to continue on with Socuwan in quite the sense that I am at the moment, because I'll have to get a full-time job and it just would not be possible to continue programming the amount that I'm programming at the moment when I can only work in the evenings and at the weekends, and who knows if I'll even have enough motivation to work in the evenings after working 8 hours during the day. So I definitely have to scale down my plans for the game. Perhaps I'd make it into a game that I could perhaps finish in the next 6 to 8 months, and then I might do a smaller crowdfunding, a much smaller crowdfunding, maybe even a Patreon account or something like that, that could hopefully keep me going for 6 to 8 months so that I could at least finish the game in some sense, because it would be a big shame if I couldn't release the game at all. The next question asks, what are my plans for after the Kickstarter if it is successful? And the first thing that I'm going to do is to completely redesign and redo the rendering engine for the game, because the last time I did that, it was a couple of years ago. I wasn't that experienced with OpenGL, so I didn't structure it in the best way that I could, and there are a huge amount of optimizations that could be added as well. So I'm just going to spend a couple of months redesigning and creating the perfect engine for the game, which will hopefully perform a lot better than the current one, and that will hopefully allow me to add a few more graphical features and just in general to make the world look nicer with a lot more objects in the world. Then for the rest of this year, I'll be working on the dev kit, getting that finished, finishing off the world editor, making sure it works on Mac and Linux, and then I'll be releasing a fully open source version of that at the end of the year as one of the Kickstarter rewards. At the start of next year, I'll be setting up a test server, which will be available to some backers of the Kickstarter, because again, that's another reward. And I'll also be just going through my code, making sure that all the systems are working as they should and that there's no loose ends that I haven't finished off quite yet, just to make sure that I have a very solid base to work up from. And then for the rest of the year, I'll just be adding in gameplay features, adding in new content, and by the end of the year I should hopefully be able to release an alpha version, which again is one of the rewards of the Kickstarter. Then in 2017 I'll be adding the big gameplay features into the game that I've got planned, and by the end of the year it should pretty much be a finished product, and I'll be releasing the beta version then, which again will be available to backers of the Kickstarter. And then after it's been tested, after I've got rid of any bugs, any loose ends, and once it's all been polished up, I'll be able to release the final version. The next question is, what kind of rewards can we expect from the Kickstarter? And I'm actually going to be making a video about this in 2 weeks' time, where I'll be explaining all of the rewards that you can get from the Kickstarter. So I'm not going to go into too much detail now. I've already mentioned a couple of them in this video, and I'm actually going to wait. I want to wait until I've got some of the physical rewards, because I've ordered some of them already. So I'm going to wait until those have arrived, so then I can actually show you what you can get. So there'll be a video going out about that in a couple of weeks' time. The next question is about the community and whether you guys will still be able to contribute content to the game after the Kickstarter. And the answer is absolutely yes. I actually plan to increase the community involvement after the Kickstarter because I think it's one of the best bits about the game, and I just love the idea of an MMO, which is all about community, being created by a community as well as being played by one. So I've got a load of plans of how I'm going to improve the way that you guys can contribute content, because at the moment it's a bit of a slow process because it all has to go through my emails and I have to check through each one and then reply and give feedback. So that's a bit slow, especially at the moment when I don't really have time to do that. So I have some plans for how it can work with the website, where you can submit via the website and then people can rate your content and stuff like that, and give you feedback without me having to get involved. So it will be a lot easier to contribute content, and there'll also be sections on the website specifically for showing off or showcasing some of the work that you guys have done, and I just want to get the community as involved with this project as possible. Another thing that I get asked quite a lot is whether I'll ever have people working on the coding side of things with me on the game. And I have been thinking quite a lot about this recently, and I think after the Kickstarter I would like to have a small team to work on the programming with me, especially for things like the dev kit, which are quite annoying to keep having to update, and it would be great to have someone that could do that for me. So after the Kickstarter, if it's successful, I'm definitely going to consider setting up a small team of programmers. Another question that quite a few people asked is, how much will the game cost? And this is unfortunately something that I really don't know. The game isn't going to come out for another 2 years, so it's very hard for me to estimate how many people would be playing the game, and so it's very hard for me to know how much the server costs would be, and so I really can't even start to calculate how much I would need to be charging for the game to make sure that it pays for itself. But whatever it is, it will definitely be as cheap as I can possibly make it, because obviously I just care about as many people playing the game as possible. I'll definitely get some help with the business side of things at that point, because I have no idea about any of that. So right now I really don't know. I mean, I'm not even sure if I'm going to have a game if the Kickstarter doesn't work, so I need to concentrate on that first. And then when it gets closer to the time, I can see how many people are likely to be playing. I can make a good estimation of how much the servers are going to cost. And then from that, I'll be able to work out how much I should be charging for the game. The next question is about the YouTube channel, whether I'll continue to make videos after the Kickstarter. If the Kickstarter is successful, then definitely yes, I'll continue making tutorials, hopefully every 2 weeks. I'll continue to make devlog videos every week, and I'll continue to make behind the scenes devlog videos. I have been thinking that I might swap around the devlogs and the behind the scenes devlogs, so that the behind the scenes devlogs are the ones that come out every week, because they're a little bit quicker for me to make, and so it would just allow me to have a bit more time to work on the game while still putting out the same number of videos. But that's just something that I've been thinking about. That's not certain yet. However, if the Kickstarter isn't successful, then I'm less sure. It really depends what I end up doing. But if I've got a full-time job, it's going to be very hard for me to firstly create enough content in the game to be worth making a video about, but also for tutorials, they take 2 to 3 days to complete sometimes. So it's going to be very difficult if I only have weekends. So if the Kickstarter isn't successful, then the videos will definitely decrease quite a bit. But I'm not sure to what extent yet. It really, again, depends on what I do end up doing if the Kickstarter does fail. The next question is about the website. When is that going to be ready? Soon, very soon, hopefully. I've just got a couple of designs to finish off. I'm just designing a couple of the sections, and then I'll send those designs off to Josh, who's the guy that's creating the website for me, and he's usually pretty quick. So it should be up within the next couple of weeks, hopefully. Next question is, how do I stay motivated enough to keep working on the game every single day? Firstly, I think I just really enjoy what I'm doing. I really enjoy programming, and I'm really passionate about the game and the idea that I've got, and I just really want to see it come to life. So that's obviously a big part of it. But also, I think the devlogs have been a massive help. Having the constant community feedback and support, and having you guys even contribute to the game has just been a massive help, and it really helps to keep me motivated, and it makes me feel like I'm not doing this on my own, but I'm doing this with all of you guys as well, which is obviously a really nice thing to have. And of course, all the positive feedback that I get on the devlog videos, that always helps to keep my spirits up. And also, the devlogs kind of act as a sort of deadline that I have every week, because I know that I need to get enough content done and in the game to show in the devlog on Friday. So that kind of adds a little bit of pressure, which I think is good sometimes. Otherwise, I just might relax too much and not get enough done. So that is it for this Q&A video. Tomorrow there's going to be a behind the scenes devlog video showing you everything that I got up to this week, including my move to Germany, so have a look out for that. But yeah, thank you guys very much for watching this video. Do subscribe if you haven't already. Have a fantastic week, and I will see you all next time.